Hey guys, welcome back to the It's Really Not That Deep podcast.
It's never that deep.
So today we're talking about our 20s and the quarter life crisis and just how difficult it can be to be in your 20s. So we're talking about the psychology behind it, our experience with it, and how everyone goes through it. And everyone feels like they're alone with it, but we're all really experiencing it.
All of us.
So we're going to break down for you why it happens, what is going on in your brain, and how to stop spiraling. Because I had a spiral today myself.
They really don't stop.
No. Well, they do stop.
They do.
Guys, we're going to talk about it. I've really been training my brain.
Joel's really good at the spiral snip.
So, Haley and I graduated at the same time. We lived together for 4 years. We shared a lot of experiences and we talked about those experiences, which I think made the transition easier than it would have otherwise been. But like graduating university and going to a full-time job and moving home and paying for stuff is crazy.
It gets a lot real quick. It just like hits you. You're totally at 1 minute you're in your apartment with your friends just yapping about life, and the next you're getting called for dinner at whatever. You're trying to manage your full-time job.
But also at school, like, we lived within a radius, like a 5-kilometer radius of 80 people we knew. Now it's like we live a 25-minute drive apart. This is tough.
And it takes a lot of effort to allow yourself to do that.
Yes, and everyone has their own internal battle of like, I don't want to reach out first. Like, what if I get rejected? So we're all hermits. Well, maybe that's just me.
A lot of us. And if you say you're not, just rethink. Are you really...
Don't rethink. If you say you're not, be delusional. I'm voting for you.
Fair enough. So because it would be helpful for, I think, all of us to get a little bit of a grip on our spiraling sessions, our quarter life crisis, today in this episode, we're going to be talking about the science behind our quarter life crisis and why our brain allows this to happen. We're going to be talking about why your 20s are so unstable, because they are so unstable. And then we're going to be talking about how to chill and actually enjoy your life. And instead of living in when am I going to do this? We're going to start living in nows.
Preach. We are starting to live in the now. As we were reading through this, me and Haley were like, this is so validating. So you're going to enjoy this episode.
Because I think everyone, I've never talked to someone who hasn't been a little bit confused, lost.
No, we're really in the thick of it, so hang in there.
Slay. So me and Joelle, if you did not hear it at the first episode, we are both in psychology, or we both just graduated from psychology. And we found over the years that it's really helped get a grasp on things and help us manage things when we can actually understand why these things happen in our brain. So I think it's really important because we've had this knowledge, learning the psychoeducation of different things that happen in our 20s, different disorders, different everything that people don't have that knowledge about. And we're going to share some of it with you.
Okay. So for our non-psych major friends, you know Freud. Everyone knows Freud. But there's this guy, Erickson, and he has these stages of development, and they all make a ton of sense. To be honest, can't think of one other than this right now, even though I memorized it for 6 courses.
6 courses is an understatement of the century.
Yeah, but I got none.
No, when I take an exam, it goes in one year, not the other,
yeah.
So...
What a shame. Anyway, the stage that we are in now is identity versus role confusion.
Through your 20s, you're often in a state of, who am I? If you think from 4 years ago, we were just starting university for the first time, or literally grade 9 for us was 8 years ago. That's crazy, right? So you're in a completely new time of our life. We're figuring out what we like, who we are, who our friends are, and we're trying to figure out who we are compared to what society pressures us. Is that the word?
And maybe who we thought we would be.
Yeah, that's a big one. Who we thought we would be. So right after you get out of this one stage of your life to a completely new chapter, not only do you have to figure out who you are and everything that comes along with that, you also have to figure out what you're going to do. We all, at some point, have to figure out, are we going to go back to school? Are we going to work? What relationships are best for us? And we have no idea where to start. I think a huge example that I can think of, I had just been talking to my mom and her friends recently, and they were talking about how our generation, so we're Gen Zs, right? Yeah, obviously. What they were saying is they feel like our generation has a lot more expectations. So, like, in a job, like, even working from home, like, they never worked from home.
Yeah.
And, like, now people are like, oh, I wouldn't do a job that I couldn't work from home. Like, people really do say that. And the expectations with, like, days off, like, hours off, salary, everything, that was not the same expectations when they were doing this.
It's also, like, we have Instagram and, like, we have social media where we see everybody's highlight reel of them traveling and them doing all these cool things. And we're like, well, yeah, I need to do those things too. And we all do feel like this sense of urgency to be doing all these things that we see online. I feel that way.
Yeah, but don't you feel that we are doing those things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes, and I think it's a positive thing to be able to, like, reference other people, but it can also really give you the wrong sense.
Oh, complete wrong sense.
And our parents' generation didn't have social media where you're comparing yourself to your friends, these millionaires, these poor people, like anyone under the sun you can compare yourself to. That's crazy.
It is really crazy, and I think social media has completely changed our world, and it's like inevitable that, wow, I said that really good.
You did say that really good.
It's inevitable that we would be a completely different generation.
It makes total sense. So I make this joke, if you're going to get a tattoo or if you're going to make any alterations to your body, wait until your prefrontal cortex develops.
Personally, I don't listen to that same advice.
I don't really listen, but if I think someone's going to do something stupid, that's more just like my way of being like, just please wait.
Yeah, but you would always make that smart decision.
Well, I just wouldn't get a tattoo or make any major bodily alterations.
Ever, yeah. So, fair enough.
But like when my young cousin is like, I want to do this, I'm like, no. Wait till your brain develops.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are 22, so we're getting there, but we're not quite there. We're better at making decisions and rationalizing and dealing with uncertainty than our high school selves were, but our brain hasn't fully developed yet. For those of you who don't know what a prefrontal cortex is and have maybe just seen it online, it's the part of your brain that makes decisions. So just take in for a second. If you are under the age of 25, it is most likely that the decision-making part of your brain is not fully developed. So no wonder it's hard to make decisions. No wonder it's like you feel so uncertain because you're not fully developed, the brain, the most important part of your body.
Yeah, and even think like myself now versus myself 3 years ago.
Crazy.
I feel like a completely different person.
And change is hard, and the amount of change that goes on between like 19 to 25 is just like
insane.
Exponential.
Like insane.
Yes. So go easy on yourself.
Just remember, these decisions are gonna, when you think back to yourself 3 years ago, you kind of like, you don't feel sorry for yourself, but you should have like, aw, like she was cute.
I just want to like give her a hug and be like, you're doing a good job.
Yeah. So now imagine us in 3 years, like looking at us now.
I love doing that.
Yeah. It's nice. Just to summarize what we just touched on, spoke about, we have now what we learned is the existential panic formula. Do I ever experience this? And I know it's crazy. When you have too many choices and there's 1,000 things to take a look at and there's this pressure to be successful, to make money, then you have social media comparing yourself to everyone, we enter the quarter life meltdown.
Can you even blame yourself when you put it that way? Who wouldn't? So now that we've identified what a quarter life crisis is, we're going to talk about how to navigate it. Because we don't just want to freak you out and not bring you back down. All right. So step one, which we kind of touched on in the beginning, is just accepting that it's normal. Once you get off of the judgment of like judging yourself, judging your timeline, thinking that you're alone in this, which is very isolating, you can kind of give yourself some grace and kind of just be more peaceful and calm and empathetic to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself.
I always try to be so nice to myself. I think it's so important.
So important.
So important.
I've been doing major affirmations, and like when I started, it felt really silly. I remember you told me to do them, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. But I've started to do it, and now I like really mean it.
Stop.
It's really nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah, and like it just makes my day so much better. I've been telling everyone about my affirmation.
Yeah, I just talked to my mom, and I was like, you need to start saying something like positive about yourself, because I think eventually you start to believe it. And she's like, do you really do that every day? And I was like, well, me personally, I'm not that good. I'm like, Joelle does. I think it sounds like such an easy thing that actually kind of takes a lot of like courage to do.
It does. But yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But just do it. Just like try it. If you don't like, you don't have to be consistent from the jump, but just implement it in some way.
Just try. Even whenever you think about it, just do it. That's a good way to start.
And if you are going through one of these spirals and like, what am I doing? And you're feeling very alone, it's really nice to talk to someone about it and be vulnerable about it, because then you realize that other people are going through very similar things. I know when I was like going through a breakup, I love watching people's breakup videos and like them in the thick of it, them 6 months later when they're healing. Like it's just really nice to feel understood by strangers and by your friends, obviously. But
yeah, just being able to relate to someone and being able to feel like your experience isn't just your own is very... I feel like it's a lot easier to listen to advice after seeing someone that has been through the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And especially if you're not ready to be open to your friends or your family, it's a great way to start. The second step of our breakdown on how to move on from your spiral, take a little breather, is how to stop analysis and
Analysis paralysis?
that's kind of a tongue twister.
A little bit.
Analysis.
Not that much of a tongue twister.
Analysis paralysis. Anyways, you're gonna stop analysis paralysis and just start. A lot of the times when we're overthinking, we're stuck in a pattern of what am I doing? What do I want to be doing? What am I going to do for the rest of my life? Because we feel that for some reason at the age of 22, we have to figure out what the rest of our life is going to look like. Spoiler, you're not. And it's going to be okay. Something that I discovered, so I went on this leadership summit for a few days, and through that we're in a small group. We were discussing we were allowed to choose different topics that we were interested in, and I chose putting your passion into your job as well as being creative in a job. And when I did that, someone introduced me to Ikigais. Let me tell you, I am passionate about Ikigais. I probably told Joelle like 12 times about this Ikigais. Anyways.
And I still didn't know what it was when it said icky guys.
Yeah. It's fine. We'll talk about it now. I actually just recently did an Ikigai with our friend, and I think it helped a lot. But what an Ikigai is it's a Japanese concept, and it translates to kind of reason to live, like your being. It is a tool to help you figure out what it is that your purpose is in a way. So how it works is there's 3 different Venn diagrams, and one of them is things that you can make money in, reasons that you're happy, and ways you want to change the world. And then you kind of keep going in until you find your Ikigai, and that's what you want to do.
I like that.
Yeah, you should really do one. I can help you go through it.
Later.
Perfect. So this ikigai, as I started doing it, and the whole group was helping me, it was kind of really nice. I figured out like exactly what I wanted to do. And I always knew that was what I wanted to do, but I don't know why I wasn't allowing myself to admit to it.
Yeah.
So once I got that on my ikigai, I'm like, it's time to start.
What was that thing?
Oh, that I want to psychotherapy, of course, psychotherapy, and then wanting to work with people with ADHD and then start an organization for women with ADHD.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thanks, ikigai.
But yeah, whether you know what to do with the rest of your life, like I feel like some people would come to that and still not have like their exact passion. Maybe they would, but
For
like
sure.
I don't know, I have doubts. But as long as you're taking steps towards something, like you're fine. Even if
Yeah.
it's not your passion and not what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. My dad always says if you're in motion,
Yeah.
that's good.
It's good. Exactly. Like, I'm not saying with your ikigai, you have to say, this is what I want to do with this. Like, okay, that's dramatic. I understand. But when I did it with her friend, her results kind of like pointed her in two directions. After like looking at everything, she decided she either kind of wants to be a teacher or go into some kind of nursing something. And even though it was still kind of not a definite like yes or no, it really like helped her see what her strengths were, what her weaknesses were, and different reasons why she wants these paths, and make a more informative decision.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to like actually think these things through instead of just like spiraling with them.
Yeah.
Like, actually get them down. Yeah, no, I like it.
Slay.
So with all this, it's like gonna help you come down from a spiral, but it's also just mindset shifts that you need to instill in your mind to just like live a better existence. So this one is like reframe the idea of being lost. Just reframe it into whatever feels right, whether that's exploring, figuring it out, failing, because failing leads you closer to succeeding, like whatever that looks like to you, reframe it. Again, like give yourself some grace. Like you're young, you're trying, you'll get to where you need to be. You will. If you can see it, you can be it. This is ridiculous, but what was I saying? But step 3, reframe being lost as any version of exploring that feels right to you.
Exactly. Sometimes it's really hard to change your mindset when you are constantly comparing yourself to others, especially as we just talked about with social media. We're constantly comparing ourselves, and it's hard to reframe our mind with not just constantly on it. So step 4 is learning how to create your own timeline and stop comparing yourself to everyone else.
Okay, so step 4, like Haley said, is creating your own timeline. I feel like we're in such a rush to like even have kids and get married, let alone like get a high, well-paying job. But everything feels so rushed, and our parents, they would go to school, they would move out, then they would get married and have kids, and there was just such a clear trajectory that like there was so much pressure to be on. That pressure is kind of taken off of us.
Yeah, I feel like we've really been allowed to step out of that.
Hopefully most of us have. I know I have.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's really freeing. But I still have felt for so long on this timeline of like I need to have kids by this time and I need to have this amount of money by this time. And like it's good to have goals for sure.
100%.
But are those even my goals? Is that even what I want, or is that what I feel I need to have because of what I think society expects of me?
Exactly. And not to go back to my bestie, the ikigai, I think that the ikigai can really help determine if those are goals of yours or if they're society goals.
True.
Because it will really help break down what is it that like you truly value.
So ikigai. Do people just like search up ikigai?
IKIG
UI?
I think it's AI.
Okay.
Either way, I will insert a picture onto the screen so you could see exactly it. And if anyone wants a little explanation on the ikigai, I can definitely do a little video on that. I think a big thing that over the years we started to incorporate is trying to romanticize our lives. And I think that kind of goes along with manifesting even. We are picturing ourselves in that romantic life, so we're able to manifest that for it to create change. So step 5 is to romanticize your 20s and start living. Because I think a lot of the time we dread these years, but these should be like our best years. And they may not be, and that's also okay.
But we should try.
But we need to enjoy our lives because we only have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like to think about, like, who is my higher self? Who do I want to become out of my experiences, like, out of my careers, whatever. And then I think, what would she do? Like, what would she do right now? Why do I want to be like that? What can I do to get one step closer to that? And that's my, like, version of romanticizing my life, because it's like, yeah, I can see it and I can dream about it and that's great, but I can also have some of it now. Mm-hmm. I can claim some of it.
Yeah.
And I do. And it gets me closer and closer.
I wish I could think of that when I, like, do that. I think it's really interesting that we both manifest, we both do things, but in such different ways.
Yeah.
I think I have a lot of trouble thinking in the future. Not that I really think in the past, but, you think in the long-term future. I have a lot of trouble thinking of long-term. So I often think of small romanticizing and things and day-to-day things that I think if you're trying to do both, which honestly would be great, starting with smaller terms would be a lot easier to create a habit of this.
It's true. But it also depends, like, what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
Like, but I totally agree that for some people, small things is a lot easier. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it just depends if you're a Joelle or a Haley.
Comment down below.
Yeah. So with all this being said, we're going to play a little game called Quarter Life Crisis Bingo. So I've done the honors of creating a little bingo card for us. So we should see one on each of our screens. And we're going to see times when we have spiraled, when we have done some crazy things because we're just confused, as everyone is in life. While we're playing, I encourage all of you to play along with us.
It might help you feel validated, guys, because we haven't read the whole list, but I probably do most of these. So
100%.
Let's go. So number 1 is how to break down about not having your life together.
100%.
Obviously, isn't that the topic of this episode?
Exactly. Can you think of any time that you really had a breakdown about that?
In 4th year. Literally all of 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was just like impending doom. So the reason our 4th year was pretty tough is because we thought we were going to get this honors degree that we didn't end up getting for ridiculous reasons that were really, really frustrating for us. But, like, whatever, it happened. We're past it. But
now we're past it.
Yeah. But, like, that was really, like, a heavy weight on us. We were, like, crying about it.
Yeah.
And we don't normally, like, cry about things. Like,
no.
It was really intense. And I was like, I'm not gonna be a therapist. I'm not gonna be able to go to any school. Like, I'm not gonna be employable. What am I gonna do?
And you search up all these things on the internet, and, like, half of them just looking at schools, it was like, you need an honors. And it was so hard to think beyond this that we were so stuck in this frame of being.
Yeah. No, it's a brutal time. And, like, grad schools accept, like, 8 people. And it wasn't gonna be me.
Yeah. But we figured it out.
Yeah, we figured it out, and everything turned out okay. But that was my time. Mm-hmm. One of them. I've had more than one.
For sure. The next point that we have is, have you ever thought about quitting your job and moving to a random country?
You did that.
I did that.
Yeah. Haley thought about it and took the leap.
And I did it.
Yeah.
Has anyone thought about it, though?
I thought about it.
Yeah.
Not, like...
actively?
Yeah.
So, that's okay.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay. Googled how to find your passion at least once. We literally just had a whole segment on how to find your passion, so count us in.
Preach. Then the next one is convince yourself that you're behind in life. 100%. I still do this, to be honest.
Me too.
And I think everyone will always sort of have that.
And in every way, too.
Yeah.
In intelligence, in finances, in
everything.
Relationships, everything.
You just gotta be a little empathetic.
Just live in the present.
Live in the present. Please.
It's not that deep.
It's never that deep. You know how much I say it's not that deep?
Me too. And, like, sometimes I'll say it to people who, like, don't understand the reference, and I love it.
I know, because it's not that deep.
It's not that deep. And they're like, you're right.
Yeah, like, I know I'm right.
And everyone loves this name.
I know, right? It's so great. I love this name.
Me too. Because is not that deep.
Not that deep.
Okay. The next one is took a random hobby way too seriously for 2 weeks.
I do that every 2 weeks.
So I pick up hobbies, but they don't go anywhere. So currently I have a crochet blanket on my floor. I have a guitar stand with a guitar in my room. I have a coloring book with my markers on my desk. I have all these hobbies.
Do you do all of that?
Yes.
Actively?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you look into my room, it looks a lot like that. I have my coloring in this section, my painting in this section, my whatever in this section. But I am definitely not actively doing all these things. I go from 1 2 week period and I'm like, oh, let's forget about that one. I'm like, oh my god, look at this knitting stuff. No. And then I spend so much money on all of it. It's sad.
But hobbies is my life.
It's amazing.
It's my passion.
It's great.
Literally
I'm just too ADHD.
Hobbies and habits. My passion.
And all I want is to create habits.
We'll do an episode. We'll work on it.
Okay.
Okay, next.
The next question is, have you ever considered going back to school just to avoid real life responsibilities?
Oh, I am.
Yeah. To be fair, like, I think it's the next step.
It is the next step. It is. But there's a lot of perks.
Yeah, there's a lot of perks.
A lot of downsides, but a lot of perks.
Unfortunately, I think a part of our generation is you kind of need a degree. You need a BA to get anywhere, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, so
I guess we could cross that one off. The next one is, have you ever thought about deleting your social media, but then accidentally end in a doom scroll?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that Joelle does that I really wish I used to relate to is that she deleted Instagram. And I deleted Instagram with her at some point. And then just stuff happened. And I re-downloaded it and haven't deleted it since. So part of me is like, really, like, just delete it. But no.
I go on Instagram sometimes, don't get me wrong. If you've seen me in your story views, you know. I don't have it downloaded on my phone except now for the podcast. And I haven't, like, posted since 2022 summer. It's such a nice, like, TikTok. I love TikTok. I'm never getting rid of TikTok. Yeah, I've tried to delete it. It's not happening.
It's addicting.
Yeah, but Instagram, like, is, for a lot of people, Reels and, like, TikTok. But other than that, it's just, like, seeing people, like, so many people.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
And then it opens more things for you to compare yourself.
Yeah. To, like, this person who's 3 years older than me that I went to elementary school with, like, no thanks.
And you do not know what is going on in their life.
No.
If you unpause on that picture on their screen, the next second, they could be completely meh.
Yeah. But I love seeing my friends' stuff.
Of course. You want to see your friends succeed. You love seeing... Yeah. Another thing, you have to be okay with seeing someone succeed.
Yeah, you do. Because if you're not, then you're, like, manifesting lack. If you're happy for someone else, it means there's enough for you to go around. Next is went through an existential crisis over a random TikTok video. Absolutely.
Can you give me an example?
Okay, existential crisis is a little dramatic.
Yeah. But
there was a time a couple years ago when I, like, was deep in spiritual TikTok.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am one with the earth. Like, I was, like, very into it.
Yeah.
And so it was, like, a whole change in brainwave almost.
Yeah.
Which was really cool and fun, and, like, I would love to get back there, but it helped my mentality a lot.
Yeah, I think my For You page consists of crystals. What else? Nothing.
Well, Haley got me a crystal starter pack, and I actually, like, I love it. I love how they shimmer in the light.
Right? They're so perfect to look at.
Oh my
I
God.
get so happy just admiring them.
And anytime I'm like, I put the cards mean for what they mean under them. Anytime I'm like, I need something, anything, some abundance. I'm like, let me absorb this.
Give me it. I'm not crazy for being a crystal girl, okay?
We're happy, so who's to judge?
Sometimes I would say it's my red flag, but not for me.
No, it's not. I don't think it's a red flag.
Well, like, if you think of just the, like, I'm a crystal girl, you sound kind of like a red
I don't like
flag.
to judge.
Period.
Okay, let's do. How many have we done? Oh, God.
I don't know.
How many do we need? 9.
3, 6, 9.
Yeah. Okay, let's do maybe 1 or 2 more. The next one is questioned if you should dye your hair as a fresh start move.
I'm totally guilty of that, crossing that one off. I've done that a few times.
We should insert a picture of the one time you did it in Guelph. Guys.
So, little backstory here. It was Halloween. I wanted the trend of dyeing your blonde front things were in. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm just going for it. 2 weeks later, after I do it, COVID hits. And I have no way of removing those strips. So I rolled with it. And then they kind of became a part of my identity.
Didn't you, like, dye them red at some point and then dye them back whatever?
No, because I use box dye, my hair, I didn't bleach them. So my hair it wouldn't go that much lighter. So I had to do it a few times.
Oh, God. And look how dark her hair is. It was, like, white strips.
That was awful.
Well, we have to put a picture
Yeah,
in.
like, I have
Oh
a
my
whole
God.
TikTok of it. It's fine. I got you. And our final question is, have you ever been or felt like you have been in a quarter life crisis?
Duh.
Absolutely.
Anyone over the age of, like, 19?
But not even. Like, even when you're 17.
Yeah, like, teenage years is a brutal thing on its own.
You're always confused no matter what page, and what stage of your life, you're living it for the first time.
Yeah, it's true.
So give yourself grace.
Yeah. And again, like, think about how your future self would look back at your past self, the way you look back at your past self, hopefully with a lot of love.
Mm-hmm. If you know anyone that you feel is in a stage of confusion, needs just a little reminder to be empathetic to yourself, tell them to listen to this video. Tell them to do an ikigai. Tell them to play our game of bingo. And hopefully we can relate to somebody.
And if you can take one thing from this episode and actually implement it into your brain and use it in your life, I promise you, your life will get just a little bit better. Just a little bit. That's all we're asking for.
All we're asking for.
Well,
that was the episode.
And just remember, it is never that deep.
It's not that deep.
We love you guys. See you next time.
Bye.